Everyone had heard of Earth, but nobody expected this. The observation deck buzzed with whispers. Alien students floated or shuffled in anxious clusters, their translucent limbs tingling with anticipation. Earthlings are supposed to be fragile, one muttered, eyes wide, like newborn hatchlings, delicate and harmless. Another scoffed, fragile? Their death worlds can flatten a settlement in minutes. Entire ecosystems wiped out, casually. The chatter swirled around rumors, legends, and half-forgotten tales. To these young cadets, the word Earth conjured images of ferocious predators, hostile climates, and humans who laughed in the face of danger. Yet somehow, somewhere, they had also been told humans were cute. This contradiction left them nervously speculating. Would the arrival be a dainty, charming ambassador, or a walking catastrophe? A hiss reverberated through the deck. The transport shuttle's doors began to slide open. Silence fell. All eyes turned. Slowly, deliberately, the hatch revealed a figure. A human stepped onto the landing pad. Calm. Measured. No booming heroics, no exaggerated gestures. Just a slightly hunched figure with tired eyes and a polite, almost shy nod to the waiting audience. A simple jacket hung over broad shoulders, scuffed at the edges, as if it had seen countless journeys. A collective exhale went unnoticed by the human, who blinked at the assembly with gentle curiosity. "Is that it?" whispered a student, tentacle trembling. "That's the legendary Earthling." As if to answer the question, the human rolled forward a crate on small wheels. The aliens leaned closer, expecting soft noises, maybe faint squeaks. After all, companions from other worlds had always been fluffy, harmless, and smile-inducing. Instead, the crate growled. Slow, slow. A guttural rumble that vibrated the metal floor beneath them. The aliens froze. Some floated back, some clutched railings. "It's breathing," one squeaked. "I think it's breathing wrong." The growl grew sharper, nails scratching against reinforced wood. Eyes, glowing faintly in the dim light, peered from inside the crate. The creature shifted, large and sinewy, muscles coiling with restrained power. Every student's tail, limb, or equivalent twitched in alarm. The human crouched slightly, peering into the crate with a faint smile. "Don't worry," they murmured. "They're friendly. Mostly friendly." The word hung in the air like an ill-fitting charm. Aliens glanced at each other, eyes wide in panic. This was not what "cute" meant. Somewhere, the universe had miscommunicated. Finally, the human pushed the crate gently toward the instructor. Calm, polite, completely unbothered by the chaos behind them. The students stayed frozen, caught between curiosity and terror. The low rumble continued, a subtle reminder that appearances could be deceiving. Earthlings might arrive unassumingly, yet even their pets were capable of inspiring absolute awe and immediate panic. "Cute," they said. "Harmless," they said. Nobody said anything about this. The sound was not the squeak of fluff. It was the rumble of something built for hunting. The crate's lid tilted upward under the human's careful hands. Light spilled inside, revealing the creature's shape. It wasn't small. It wasn't soft. It was a wolf, but not the kind the textbooks described. Muscles coiled beneath sleek fur like a living weapon, its shoulders were broad, spine straight, powerful limbs ending in claws that gleamed faintly. The ears twitched at every sound. Its amber eyes scanned the room, intelligent, alert, and utterly unconcerned with the alien spectators. The alien guide accompanying the human froze. Feathers bristled along the nape, extrasensory organs quivered. Limbs flexed involuntarily. Every instinct screamed, "Flee, warn, survive." A low whistling hiss escaped its mandibles, a noise somewhere between a growl and a challenge, and the guide's chest pulsed with heightened awareness. The human crouched beside the crate. Hands rested gently on the wolf's shoulder as if nothing about the massive predator was unusual. "Calm," the human said, voice quiet but firm. "This is Kale. He's trained, loyal. Won't harm anyone unless I command it." The guide's mind rejected the explanation. Predator. Apex. Deathworld born. Loyalty to a humanoid could not erase evolutionary purpose. The guide's eyes flicked nervously toward Kale, then back at the human. The tail feathers bristled. Reflexive thought collided with rational observation. Instinct says danger, intellect says caution, but nothing prepares you for this. The wolf's gaze swept the room, pausing briefly on each alien. There was curiosity, not malice. Still, the air thrummed with power, the sort that suggested raw speed, precision, and predatory intelligence. The guide swallowed hard. We should move, sir," they said, voice tighter than intended. The human nodded, motioning for the crate to be wheeled forward. "Lead the way." Reluctantly, the guide stepped ahead, half floating, half scuttling as Cale's low rumble followed them. Every instinctive flick, every twitch of sensory organ screamed alarm, yet the rational mind tried to maintain composure. "It's trained. It obeys. It won't attack." Yet the chest still thumped, claws of imagination scratching at reality. As they walked down the corridor to the quarters, the guide couldn't help but study the predator. Cale's every movement was deliberate, tail flicking like a metronome, ears swiveling to capture the faintest vibrations, eyes constantly assessing. There was elegance in the danger, beauty in the lethal design, fear tinged with awe. The human glanced at the guide. "Relax. He's more companion than threat, as long as you respect him." The wolf's lips twitched almost imperceptibly, like a knowing smile, and the guide's mind split between admiration and primal panic. In the quiet that followed, only the muted hum of the corridor and the low rumble of the crate filled the space. The guide felt the uneasy weight of the unknown predator beside them, powerful, unpredictable, and tethered only by loyalty. Rational thought and instinct warred in silence. This was no earthling pet. This was a reminder that appearances could be deceiving, and that humans brought surprises far beyond expectation. Word traveled faster than a subsonic pulse through the academy's corridors. He brought a predator. Students froze mid-step, turned heads, and whispered frantically. Tentacles twitched, wings fluttered, sensory stalks quivered. Some fled toward the nearest observation platform, while others dared a cautious peek, eyes wide and trembling. The corridors, usually a hum of disciplined chatter, became a tangle of fear, speculation, and awe. Cale's low rumble seemed to echo along the walls, a subtle vibration that sent nervous pulses through anyone within range. Every creature present understood, this was not a pet. This was a living apex predator from Earth, and its loyalty to a human did little to ease instinctive anxiety. The human walked calmly through the throng, hands resting lightly on the crate as if navigating a bustling market rather than a battlefield of alien panic. Students parted instinctively, leaving space as if the wolf itself were an invisible force field. Eyes darted to each other, searching for reassurance, but none came. It was then that the authority arrived. Professor Valrin, a seasoned instructor with feathers streaked silver and a stern, elongated crest. The hall quieted instantly as the professor approached, limbs measured, voice carrying through the corridor like a resonant instrument. "You will keep it leashed, in public spaces," the professor said, voice more concerned than angry. "No exceptions. This is a learning institution, not a hunting ground." The human inclined their head politely, a calm, respectful acknowledgement. "Understood, Professor. I will adhere to all local regulations." No hesitation. No defensiveness. Just a simple, measured compliance that belied the predator beside them. Yet beneath the calm exterior, tension lingered like a subtle hum. Students exchanged nervous glances, some unable to reconcile the wolf's presence with the human's composure, others fixated on Cale's taut muscles, flicking ears, and amber eyes that scanned every movement. Professor Valrin's gaze swept over the wolf and its human companion. Your companion, while impressive, cannot roam freely. Fear, for those unfamiliar with its training, is rational. Instinct cannot be ignored. "I appreciate your concern," the human replied, voice even and polite. "Cale is obedient, and he understands boundaries. I will ensure no one is endangered." A few students whispered to each other, "Boundaries? Obedience? That thing could tear a mech apart before breakfast, and still look graceful doing it." Cale's low, steady growl punctuated the murmurs like punctuation, reminder that even disciplined predators reminded all observers of their innate power. The professor finally nodded, a subtle relaxation in posture, though feathers remained taut. "Very well. But know that any breach of protocol will be met with immediate intervention." The human inclined once more, crate wheels humming softly over the floor. Kale's head lifted, ears twitching, tail swishing lazily, fully aware yet entirely under control. The corridor slowly resumed motion, but whispers lingered like a soft current. Respectful disagreement, cautious curiosity, and universal apprehension blended in every glance. Humans, it seemed, had a way of teaching fear and admiration at the same time, without ever raising their voice. No matter how much logic told them otherwise, instinctual terror was universal. Every instinct told her to flee, yet something about the calm confidence beside her made her stay. The alien guide floated slightly behind the human, sensory organs quivering with every soft click of Kale's claws against the corridor floor. Students scattered in every direction. Some squealed and leapt onto walls, others hovered at a safe distance, while a few fainted entirely at the mere sight of the wolf's amber eyes. Despite the chaos, Kale moved like a shadow tethered to the human side, head low, muscles relaxed, tail swishing slowly. There was no threat in his movement, only precision and awareness. Each step, each glance, each subtle adjustment spoke of obedience, discipline, and loyalty that defied the alien guide's expectations. The guide hesitated, hovering a safe length away. Fear warred with curiosity. She had studied predators for decades, yet none had behaved like this, massive, deadly, and yet calm. The human's hand rested lightly on Kale's shoulder as if they shared an unspoken language, a bond beyond words. Why doesn't he attack?" the guide whispered, barely audible over the hum of the corridor. The human glanced down with a faint smile. "Kale trusts me. He knows the boundaries, and he understands my intentions. It's about pack loyalty, respect, and reading body language." The guide's antennas twitched, trying to process. Pack loyalty, reading body language. Her mind ran through 1,000 survival algorithms, none of which accounted for this strange phenomenon, a predator so massive, so obviously capable of carnage, yet entirely gentle when commanded. The human knelt slightly to Kale's level. "See how he mirrors my posture. Calm, steady, attentive. That tells him it's safe. If I were tense, he'd respond accordingly. He's not dangerous unless I give him reason to be." Kale's ears flicked at a passing student, then returned immediately to the human, eyes sharp yet serene. A tail flick, a soft exhale, and the guide felt something shift in her chest. Respect. Oh, understanding. "Step closer," the human said, voice gentle. "You can watch, feel the rhythm. You'll see he's not a monster, just disciplined." The guide hovered cautiously forward, every limb ready to retract at the slightest provocation. Kale lifted his massive head, sniffed the air, and inclined it subtly toward her, a silent acknowledgment of her presence. The guide froze, half expecting teeth or claws. Nothing happened. Only trust. By the time they reached the quarters, the alien guide's panic had eased into cautious fascination. She had seen Kale's strength, his instincts, and his loyalty firsthand. Fear had not vanished, but it had been tempered by understanding. She began to recognize a strange, universal principle. Confidence breeds trust, even in the most improbable circumstances. As the human secured Kale in a corner of the quarters, the guide took a slow breath. I think I understand," she said softly. "Not fully, but enough." The human smiled faintly. "That's all it takes. Time, patience, and respect." Outside the room, faint whispers of alien astonishment lingered in the halls. Some students peeked through the observation panels, reluctant to believe what they were seeing. Every instinct had screamed terror, but now some instincts were quietly adapting to a new, strange understanding. Kale lay down, head resting against the human's foot, eyes half closed. Controlled. Loyal. And in that moment, the alien guide realized something fundamental. Humans, and their companions, did not conform to expectation. They created it. The academy courtyard was bustling when the hum began, a sharp, irregular vibration that cut through conversation and curiosity alike. A maintenance drone, its stabilizers sparking, wobbled dangerously near a cluster of young cadets. Panic erupted instantly. Tentacles flailed, wings lifted, and several small creatures scattered in every direction. The guide's feathers bristled. Every instinct screamed, evacuate, flee, protect the vulnerable. But the human remained calm, eyes fixed on the spinning hazard. No hesitation, no shouted orders, just a quiet, measured command. Kale. Intercept. The wolf moved. In a blur of sinew and muscle, Kale surged forward, intercepting the drone midair. Sparks flew as claws met metal. The wolf's body twisted with astonishing precision, cushioning the impact, halting the drone's descent before it could crush the smaller cadets. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The human remained composed, hands adjusting the drone's emergency kill switch. With a soft click, the machine powered down completely, inert. The courtyard was still. Silence, broken only by the low, steady rumble of the wolf, now standing calmly beside its human. The students stared, eyes wide. Tentacles uncurled slowly, wings lowered, sensory stalks quivered with disbelief. They had expected chaos, carnage, or at least panic, but none came. The predator they feared stood unbowed, shield between danger and innocent. The guide floated forward cautiously, heart pounding. Every logical part of her mind tried to catalog the event, rationalize the sequence, and dismiss it as coincidence. But instinct refused. Kale had read the threat, assessed it, and acted with both lethal efficiency and controlled restraint. The human had issued a single command, yet the wolf's execution was perfect, precise, and utterly reliable. The human finally looked up, voice calm, almost conversational. "Are they all safe?" "Yes," the guide whispered, still catching her breath. "All safe." A wave of awe rippled through the cadets. Whispers became murmurs, murmurs became hushed exclamations. "Did you see that? It obeyed a single word. I've never witnessed precision like that." Kale lowered his massive head, tail swishing lazily, eyes scanning the crowd once, then returning to his human. Controlled. Loyal. For the first time, the Academy saw the truth. Humans did not rely on chaos or theatrics. They commanded it. They shaped it. And sometimes, even a predator feared by all could be the ultimate protector. The courtyard, moments ago alive with panic and scattered cadets, had fallen into a stunned hush. Eyes, tentacles, and sensory stalks all tracked the human and Kale with a mixture of disbelief and awe. Whispers replaced cries, and the nervous jitter of the crowd gave way to attentive silence. Professor Valrin stepped forward, feathers bristling faintly, crest angled slightly upward. Her gaze swept across the courtyard, assessing not just the human and the wolf, but the reactions of every cadet present. There was no malice here, no recklessness, only calm precision and unwavering control. "The leash restriction is lifted," she announced, not out of pride, but awe. "Within these grounds, your companion may accompany you, provided you maintain control." A ripple of murmurs passed through the students. Some tentatively edged closer, their previous fear tempered by curiosity. Others, still frozen in disbelief, glanced at each other, whispering, "Did you see the control? The obedience? That creature listened." Students who had previously shied away now floated nearer, eyes wide with cautious interest rather than panic. A few still hovered at the edges, wings fluttering nervously, but even they could not deny the display of discipline, loyalty, and precision they had just witnessed. The human's posture remained calm, crate beside him, Kale sitting obediently at heel. There was no showmanship, no attempt to impress. Yet admiration bloomed naturally. Respect, once held at arm's length, now edged into every glance, every tentative step forward. The guide hovered closer, feathers easing from alert tension to tentative relaxation. Every instinct still whispered caution, but observation demanded acknowledgement. Kale's body language, posture, and subtle signals demonstrated loyalty, discipline, and intelligence beyond expectation. "You have proven remarkable," Professor Valrin added softly. Her tone was measured, formal, yet carried a quiet warmth. Not every student, or creature, could achieve such harmony. "You have our cautious trust." Cadets murmured in agreement, the fear slowly dissolving into fascination. Eyes that had darted in terror now lingered with curiosity, questions forming quietly. "How does it know? How can it obey so perfectly?" The human inclined politely. "Trust, training, and respect. That's all it takes." As Kale settled, head lowered, tail flicking lazily, a soft murmur of admiration rolled through the crowd. Fear had shifted subtly, imperceptibly, into awe. Students began to see not a threat, but a lesson in calm confidence, discipline, and the power of understanding. In that moment, the Academy understood something new. Humans, and their companions, did not conform to expectation. They commanded it. And in doing so, they reshaped perception itself. The ceremonial hall was filled with curious cadets, faculty, and guests from nearby learning colonies. Companion Day had always been a structured formality. Small, harmless creatures paraded under watchful eyes, eliciting oohs and ahs. Today, however, the air carried something new, anticipation laced with lingering awe. The human stepped forward, Kale at his side, leash loose, posture calm. Whispers rippled across the hall. Is that safe? The wolf's amber eyes swept the room, attentive but relaxed, tail flicking like a pendulum of measured confidence. Professor Valrin gestured politely. You may demonstrate, Earthling. The human inclined his head slightly, voice steady and clear. Kale and I follow 3 principles: trust, respect, and observation. Fear keeps your ancestors alive, he said, glancing at the cadets, but trust changes worlds. The crowd leaned in, some tentacles tilting forward, sensory stalks stiffening in cautious curiosity. Kale's movements were fluid, responsive to subtle shifts in posture, hand gestures, and tone. With a simple nod, he executed a sequence of controlled motions: heel, stay, circle, each step precise, deliberate, and perfectly synchronized with the human's commands. Notice how he responds without coercion, the human continued. Every movement is communication. Obedience is not demanded, it is earned through clarity, consistency, and care. Gasps and murmurs spread as the cadets watched Kale crouch and spring to intercept a small, hovering drone, part of the demonstration, returning it safely to its operator without a single misstep or scratch. Even the most skeptical students could not deny the seamless harmony between human and predator. Slowly, the audience began to shift. Fear gave way to fascination. Curiosity replaced apprehension. A few students edged closer, tentative hands outstretched. Kale sniffed gently, then pressed his massive head against their palms, eliciting startled laughter and delighted exclamations. The guide, once trembling at Kale's first appearance, now hovered at the edge of the circle, eyes wide with amazement. Respect had transformed into understanding. What had seemed impossible was now tangible, a living demonstration of partnership, discipline, and empathy. The human crouched, voice softening. Trust is earned. Respect is mutual. And sometimes, the bond between species teaches more than any textbook could. For the first time, the ceremonial hall brimmed not with nervous tension, but warmth. Students and faculty alike observed, touched, and interacted with Kale. Their laughter, tentative at first, grew into genuine appreciation. Fear had been replaced by admiration, and a lesson they would not soon forget. Kale's amber eyes met the humans once more, tail flicking lazily. Calm, loyal, and entirely unthreatening. Yet powerful beyond measure. Months had passed since Kale's first arrival at the Academy. The courtyard that once echoed with screams, scattered cadets, and frantic whispers now hummed with calm energy. Students moved alongside creatures of every shape and size, from floating luminescent companions to delicate, multi-legged crawlers. Amidst them, Kale walked with measured confidence, leash loose, tail swishing lazily, eyes bright but unthreatening. Where panic had once reigned, admiration and curiosity now guided every glance. Professor Valrin approached, her feathers shimmering faintly in the afternoon light. Her eyes, once wary, now held warmth and measured approval. Your methods have proven exemplary, she said. I would like to offer you a more permanent role here, guest lecturer on companion management, predator integration, and interspecies trust. Your philosophy and demonstration of loyalty have already reshaped our understanding of what a human and companion can achieve. The human inclined his head politely. I'd be honored, Professor. His calm voice carried no arrogance, only clarity and focus. Kale pressed his massive head lightly against the human's knee, a soft exhale affirming their shared bond. The display was effortless, yet spoke volumes. Trust, discipline, and subtle understanding could create harmony where instinct alone once ruled. New cadets entered the courtyard that morning, each accompanied by creatures of their own. Tentacled animals floated in intricate arcs, small predators padded carefully on padded limbs, and tiny beasts scurried across the ground. Yet even these companions, curious and energetic, seemed to carry a shadow of Kale's composure, attentive, disciplined, and responsive. Students approached him hesitantly, extending hands, whispering questions, learning from the example he silently set. The alien guide who had first accompanied the human lingered nearby, observing quietly. She remembered her initial panic, feathers bristling, limbs tense, every sensory organ alert to the slightest threat. She had hovered at a cautious distance, ready to flee at any moment. And yet here she was, marveling at Kale's serene presence. "I never thought I'd see prey species hug a predator, yet here we are," she murmured softly, a small smile tugging at her lips. Every instinct had warned danger, yet careful observation and repeated experience had replaced fear with fascination and understanding. Students gathered closer, laughter and chatter filling the space in gentle harmony. Kale responded to subtle commands, guiding the younger companions with patience and precision, teaching without words. The human explained calmly, "Trust is earned. Respect is mutual. Observation is key. Fear may protect, but trust transforms." The cadets watched, tentacles and wings tilting attentively, absorbing lessons not only of skill but of patience, empathy, and partnership. As the sun dipped low, casting gold across the academy's courtyard, the human crouched beside Kale, scratching behind his ears. The guide and students surrounded them, sharing in the quiet satisfaction of understanding, the warmth of community that had grown from an unlikely beginning. Friends, mentors, companions, alien and human alike, moved together in a new rhythm, one built on mutual respect and shared trust. Softly, the guide spoke again, her voice carrying an almost reverent tone. "We came here expecting fear, chaos, maybe even danger. Instead, we found connection, understanding, hope." Kale lifted his massive head, eyes meeting the human's briefly, tail flicking lazily. Calm, loyal, and entirely unthreatening, yet undeniably powerful. And in that quiet, golden moment, the Academy understood something profound. Humans, and the companions they brought, did not conform to expectation. They shaped it. Trust had changed worlds. And in its gentle, steady influence, the Academy's future had already begun.